All right, so today we're diving into a story. It's about a simple walk up a hill with an uncle and his nephew. But this journey, well, it unpacks something really deep about what it means to be human.
And really, the whole thing hangs on this one big question. Are our limits a cage, or are they a key? Do they hold us back, or could they actually unlock something deeper about ourselves and the world around us?
So, you might think it's one or the other, right? Cage or key. But this story suggests a third option, which is pretty fascinating. It says our limits are actually a doorway, a threshold we have to see and accept before we can even think about passing through.
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to start with a core idea from the story. It's called the human horizon.
I want you to picture this. Think about your life, everything you know, your very consciousness. It's like a horizon line, the place where the earth meets the sky. It's a boundary, right? On one side, you've got the finite world, stuff we can touch and measure. But on the other side, that's the infinite unknown, the stuff we can feel but never, ever fully grasp. So our limits, they're what define where we end and that infinity begins. And that's exactly what this journey up the hill is all about. The uncle and his nephew, they're not just out for a hike, not just getting a workout. The climb is really a metaphor. It's about that inner journey of peeling back the layers of how we normally see things so we can get a glimpse of this really fundamental truth about ourselves. And as they're climbing, this is where the magic really starts to happen. It's not about some big, grand lecture. No, the lessons come out in these quiet observations and little bits of conversation. So as they're walking up, the uncle points down at a lake. From where they are, it looks huge, right? Totally vast. But he says something simple. He's like, just wait. A little higher up, a little more perspective, and how that lake looks is going to completely change. And here's the kicker. The uncle makes it super clear what they're doing. The lake itself isn't changing. The truth of their lives isn't changing. The whole point of the climb is to change how they see. It's all about cleansing their perception.
Then the nephew sees this little stone rolling down the hill, and he has this quiet moment, He kind of sees himself in that stone, just barreling through life like there are no boundaries, and then, bam! You hit something you didn't see coming and just stop. I mean, who hasn't felt that way before?
And what's crazy is, the nephew doesn't even say this out loud. But the uncle, he just knows. But he doesn't play it off like he's a mind reader or anything. His answer is so humble, so wise. He just says, "No, I only remember my own youth." See, his insight isn't some kind of magic trick. It just comes from having been there before.
So all of this, it's all building up to this huge moment of realization when they finally get to the top. This is where their whole perspective is about to get flipped on its head. And wow, from the summit, the change is just dramatic. That massive lake they saw from the valley, now it's just this thin, elegant line. Nothing about the lake changed, of course, just how they saw it. And this visual shift, that's the key to the huge philosophical shift that's coming right up.
So they're looking at this new view, and the uncle connects the dots. He says, look, just like that thin line of the lake creates a boundary with the huge sky, a person is, well, we're a finite, limited thing. But here's the mind-blowing part. It's that very limitation that lets us see and even point towards the infinite. And boom, that's it. That's the nephew's big aha moment. He gets it. His limits aren't some kind of weakness holding him back. They're the literal framework that makes it possible to understand anything at all. I mean, think about it. Without a boundary, without some kind of definition, how could you comprehend anything? And the uncle just locks it in with the main message of this entire journey. He says, our limitation isn't a flaw we need to conquer. It's a door. But, and this is so important, you can't walk through a door if you pretend it doesn't exist. The first step, the most important step, is just to accept that it's there. Okay, but let's be real. Seeing the truth and actually living it, two totally different things. So now comes the final part of their journey, the walk back down. This is where that amazing lesson from the summit really gets put to the test. And this is the next big challenge, right? Having that moment of clarity, that peak experience, feels incredible. But the real work, that always happens when you get back down into the valley, back to the messy reality of day-to-day life. And sure enough, as they're heading down, the nephew starts to feel it. That crystal clear understanding he had at the top, it's starting to fade a little. The familiar, complicated feelings of normal life are creeping back in. And he starts to worry, am I losing it? How do I hold on to this? But the uncle offers one last, really crucial piece of wisdom. He explains that the summit isn't where truth lives. It's just where truth is shown to you. It's an indicator. The valley, that's your everyday life, that's the test. That's where you actually have to live the truth. And in a weird way, coming back down actually protects you. It lets you integrate the lesson slowly instead of just being totally overwhelmed by it.
So that really just leaves us with this one final thought, doesn't it? We all have those moments of clarity, right? Our own personal summits where everything suddenly clicks and makes sense. But the real question is, what happens when we come back down? Because truth is seen at the summit, but it's lived in the valley. So, how are you living yours?